Hello everyone and welcome back. It's Creative Redundancy back again here with another live stream video. And hopefully people are catching this while it's live or listening to this once it's been posted or processed. Now, as the title indicates, I'm going to be talking about, well, it's going to be an open talk about snow and ice. Now, warning, this may be too cold for some. Just kidding. Now, I'm no expert in survival, but I am learning and experiencing and practicing more as I create a better future today. And that was fast. Oh, yeah, I forgot I put slow-mo back on. Hello, RDS. So, yeah, like I said, I'm going to be talking about snow and ice. That's definitely something I see here in winter in Canada. Snow and ice goes hand in hand. Lots of issues arise because of it. Alright, I'm rolling to my intro here. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Whew. Of course, I got my nice wool hat on. Some random hair tie that's on me. Let me just load up the chat here so I can see what's going on. Hey, it's Nathaniel. What's up, man? Peace. Live long and prosper. So yes, I'm gonna be talking about snow and ice. I already did another video about cold and winter, so I figure I'd talk about the snow and ice. Now, certain things will cross over, obviously, but this is more focused on the snow and the ice part of winter, not really the cold part. Although, you know, snow is cold, ice is cold. So basically, everyone knows from science classes, basic common info. As the temperature falls below freezing, or close to the freezing point, 32 Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius, water can start to freeze. And hence, you know, you get snow instead of rain as precipitation. Now, when the snow falls, it could be wet snow, fluffy snow. So wet snow would be about 90% water, 10% air. Fluffy snow would be about 90% air and 10% water. Hence, you would notice the difference when you're trekking through it, or, you know, for most people, when they have to shovel it or remove it. You can tell the difference. Like, it could be a couple inches of snow, but if it's wet snow, it weighs a lot more. Now, in terms of the water, 1 cubic meter of water weighs 1 ton. So, when ice starts to form, it pretty much gets heavier and heavier in comparison to the snow. And of course, things like, you know, these kind of freeze and thaw cycles that happen around can really be, you know, unpredictable in terms of conditions on the paths, sidewalk, and on roads. Because as the snow gets compressed more, ice starts to form underneath, especially if there's been a thaw cycle in between the time that, well, since the last time you've been out. So, for example, if you were on a path that you took like last week, for example, and you know, it's fine, no troubles with traction, not worried about ice underneath the snow. The next week you go out, you know, a couple days ago it's been warmer, maybe plus closer to the freezing point. That little thin layer of ice underneath will start to develop, which means you go out there, you're like, oh, you know, it's fine, it's great, until you start slipping on the snow, just because there's a thin layer of ice underneath. Which brings me to probably the most important thing in winter, you know, next to snowshoes, for example, is ice cleats. As you can see, here's some ice cleats right here. These are the ones I use. These are full foot ice cleats. So they got kind of spikes that dig into the snow, ice a little bit more. You can also get heel ones. So here's a pair that I have right here that are heels. These are very, very useful during the winter. Even if it's, you know, maybe not, you know, per se freezing rain out. Like if it was freezing rain, these would definitely be handy. But these are also handy in the kind of freeze and thaw cycles. Maybe you're out with on a hike, you know, on a path or whatever, out in the woods, for example, and you know, you got your boots on, of course, but maybe you're not getting much traction on the snow, which means you're trying to control yourself, which means you're not going forward as fast because you're slowing down, because you're pretty much what'll happen is like you'll step on and you'll slip, right? And then you're going slower because you're taking your strides are a little bit, your stride and your step is a little bit shorter. So that trip that during the summer or when it's nicer out, that usually takes like an hour, might take you like an hour and a half, just because you're slowing down because you're trying not to slip on the snow because there's ice underneath. Now I have another video out there about reducing the impact of falling, which basically in a nutshell is just, if you have to fall, try to lower yourself down more, because the lower you are to the ground, the less time you're in the air, so the distance is less, and because you reduce the distance, even if you did fall, the impact won't be as great as compared to if you're standing all the way straight up. You know, keep your knees bent, similar to like when you go out skiing, you're in that prone position, trying to get the air up to go around you quite nicely, you know, and all that stuff. Just checking on the comments on the side. Yes, don't mess with yellow snow, like Nathaniel said. Excuse me. Yo, what's up, Bob? Live long and prosper. How's it going? Hopefully things are nice out east. I know currently right now it's minus 20, which is, let's see here. Bring up the forecast. Yeah, minus 20 feels like minus 26. Arctic wind chill, or it feels like about minus 3 Fahrenheit or about minus 15 Fahrenheit in the wind. So yeah, actually one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this video, because I've been watching a couple of videos lately about different things about, specifically about snow and ice. Like on a roof, for example, it's very dangerous to have a bunch of snow or ice on the roof, because that weighs a lot. Like, I know roofs are designed to handle like a specific amount of weight, but you know, if you got, a foot, 2 feet of snow on the roof, well, especially if it's compressed more, that could weigh, over the surface, whole area of the roof, it could weigh several tons. And if you're lucky, it would only just crash down on the side, almost similar to like an avalanche. An avalanche is basically a slide of the snow. And basically, it slides down because the layer underneath gives out, and then everything on the top just slides with it. And of course, roofs develop big icicles, and you don't want icicles falling on people. And that stuff is actually quite dangerous in around certain buildings. You gotta keep your eye out above you. Like most of the time, they try to clear it. They have de-icing. They have people that go out there with stuff. They break the ice and stuff like that. Alright, I'll catch you later, Bob. Thanks for dropping by. So yeah, coming back, ice cleats. They're not too expensive. You can, if you want to get them cheaper, you can get them at a season. Get them in the spring, in the summer, maybe find them at a yard sale, grad sale, that kind of thing. I mean, some of these I just got for like next to nothing, for like a buck or two. For a buck or two, ice cleats. Something like this will prevent or help me gain traction, be avoiding falling, because I'll have more grip on the snow. So even if I did slip somewhere, I just put my foot back down, and I got traction because I got these studs in the, well, in the ice cleats. So I'll be like, boom. And these are, these also come in handy when I'm biking, because sometimes I slip out, and which means my foot comes onto the ground, and it's nice to have traction when you touch the ground with your foot when you're biking. Especially in this kind of conditions where there's powder snow, just there's a layer of ice, but then there's a powdered snow on the top. You don't even see the ice underneath. I mean, everyone knows about black ice. It's basically ice you don't see. I mean, that exists on the roads, sidewalks, in certain areas, on like a path or a hiking path, on the low-lying areas, especially if it's been warm. The water will gather, freeze. If there's snow on the over top, you're not gonna notice it. You're gonna be stepping on it and being like slipping and slipping and slipping. So on my side chat right now, as this is live, let me know, do you guys have, especially if you experience snow and ice and winter and cold conditions, do you guys out there, and anyone that's watching this once it's been processed, do you guys have ice cleats, ice heels, snowshoes, that kind of stuff? Never mind about, snow machines and all that kind of stuff. and having, you know, winter tires on your cars and vehicles and stuff like that, or chains. That'll probably be for another video. So, leave me a comment down below or on the side right now about it. So yeah, these are the heel ones that I have. Sometimes I'll wear them, depending on the conditions. But if you just wear heel ones, you gotta make sure, remember that you have more traction on your heels. So when you're taking that first step, you know, you're gonna step with your heel first, not with your toe. And this one has 5 spikes, as you can see. Lots of grip. Usually these are made from rubber, you know, they can handle the cold. You know, these full foot ones I have here, 4 spikes on the front. Sorry. So 4 on the front, on the main part of your sole of your shoe or boot or whatever, and 2 in the back. And basically your foot would go over and your heel would be down here. You just slip them on like a slipper. Now, if for some reason you don't have ice cleats, and you know you need the traction really bad, on like a boot, maybe on a shoe, for example, you know, I've tried it before where by simply just putting hold on a sec, I'll go get it. You can improvise it. Now, you know, maybe you don't want to do it with a very expensive shoe or boot, but you know, if you had to, you have to, right? But you can take very small type of screws like these, like this is really small. Like, here's a lighter right here. You can take these screws and screw them on the bottom of your sole, and it'll basically kind of act like ice cleats to a certain degree. And I've tried that before, and it does, you know, it does help. You know, maybe you have spare shoes or whatever, something like that. So I left a comment on the side chat right now, so if you want to answer it, feel free. You know, if you want me to ask a question or comment about ice, snow, ice cleats, maybe snowshoes too. Now, I don't have official kind of wooden snowshoes. I've been in them before, and you know, they're very useful. I've actually, one season back in, I think it was '09 or something like that, I've even tried to make improvised snowshoes, which basically, well, basically in a nutshell, snowshoes spread your weight so you don't sink in the snow so much. So this was the snow, instead of sinking, and the top of the snow's right here, instead of sinking all the way down, you're only sinking maybe halfway. Which means when it's easier for you to lift your foot out which means you can keep a certain speed or tempo, and it doesn't really slow you down. Because in extremely deep snow, it's very, very tiring to walk in deep snow. Especially if it's, already above, past your ankles. It's around where your thigh on your legs would be, for example, if it's that deep. You're not get tired over time. It's very exhausting. I've walked across fields and just like, oh, come on, I gotta keep going. Hopefully, someone's broken the trail or blazed the trail already that you're on. And, it's been stepped through and stuff like that, so you kind of step on people's steps. Oh, that's cool, Nathaniel, that you got snowshoes. I don't have snowshoes here because, well, I just don't yet, but I tried out improvised snowshoes, like I said. And of course I got the ice cleats. The ice cleats by far are you know, are very useful, let's just say. Because they help you in a lot of conditions. I mean, sometimes it's not really ice underneath the snow. It's just, just kind of slick. It's powdered snow, and you just sliding, and you're like, right? Every step you take, you feel like you're sliding and slipping. Where if you had something like ice cleats, you can walk at a normal pace because you have traction on the snow. Have you shown them off on your channel yet, Nathaniel? Because I don't remember seeing them. Maybe you've shown them, but I haven't seen that video or whatever. Because as far as I know, I don't recall seeing them on your channel yet. Now, if you're watching this, I should have a card over on the corner here about asking about a question about the cold. So if you want to go answer it or whatever, that's cool. Just a quick thing. Takes a few seconds to answer. So coming back to the ice cleats for a little bit here. Like, look, I can fit these in my hat. These weigh almost next to, like, nothing. Well, they weigh a little bit, obviously, but, easily fit these in your car, have them in your car, maybe have them, when you go to work, go to school, so, if things are a little bit worse when you're walking, for example, even if it's, walking from like a parkade to work, or you're walking like 10, 20 minutes to school, for example, in the wintertime, something like this could be very useful. Because the thing is, no one wants to fall, right? But when you do, it's usually quite painful. I've seen, I've fallen, probably almost anyone has fallen on ice or slipped out where, they're on their butt or whatever, right? It's very painful, and a lot of the times these falls can kind of not inhibit, but reduce your productivity at work or at school because you banged up your knee, you banged up your hand, your wrist or whatever. You landed on your hand because of this fall, and you're spraining your hand, and maybe it's your writing hand, for example. You gotta deal with it for the next week at work or at school. I mean, if you sprain your hand, I mean, like, especially your right hand, you're gonna feel it for a little bit. Because a lot of the time, when you fall, your natural instinct is to, you know, land on your butt or try to stick out your hand, and stuff like that. And because of that, you'll be like, and fall over, and you'll feel that impact on your hand. Oh yeah, Nathaniel, falling on ice, or falling because of ice, or just because it's just slick. Maybe it's not really black ice, but slick enough that whatever shoes or boots you currently have on don't add enough traction for you. Now you have to just be like, you gotta take more time at it. Or if you have something to add traction like ice cleats, you know, you can make a regular type of stride. You can make a regular type of strides as you go forward. So your pace will be normal. You're not slowing down just because of the ice, because you have some sort of grip, so you can maintain a normal pace. Like, I know I bring these out a lot of time, and for anyone that actually has to shovel snow, remove snow with a snowblower, or what something I have, or by hand, this helps too. Because sometimes you gotta push the snow, and it's got weight to it, so you're trying to push that weight forward, or push the snowblower forward. Some ice cleats, you don't have to kind of dig down really as deep, or push your foot down as hard, because you have some traction. I find these are useful even when you're shoveling snow. Because, again, sometimes when you're shoveling snow, sometimes there's layers of ice or hardened snow underneath, and you're like trying to push against something, and it's just slippery and you're sliding. You got that you're trying to push your shovel of snow or whatever, and you can't, just because you don't have any traction right below you where you need to push, where ice cleats could give you back some traction and get you on your way again. Whew. Boy, it's kind of hot, getting warm. I'm gonna take off that hat. It's definitely way too warm for that hat right now. Just a sec. Just move my lamp a little here. There we go. So coming back to the snowshoes, like I said, I don't have a pair, but I have made an improvised pair before. Like, I saw something on a video channel or whatever, I decided to try this improvised snowshoes, where basically you use like pine or spruce boughs and a bunch of them, so it spreads, well, basically to spread out your weight more, and basically use some sort of cordage to, well, put it on the bottom of your boot or shoe. I've tried that before, and it does work, providing that you can keep the boughs underneath you all the time. And like, so pretty much it'll look like this, right? Intertwine, it'll help spread your weight out so you don't sink in the snow as much. I tried this for a little bit. No, it doesn't, it can work. I'm not sure how well it works in very deep snow, like where the snow's coming up to your like knees, where it's like 2 feet tall. I've only tried this in like 1 foot or less. Oh yeah, Nathaniel. I can't remember where you live in around, but yeah, if you see conditions like or experience conditions like freezing rain, when it snows, maybe there's lots of thaws and freeze cycles in your area. Ice cleats are very, very useful. And like I said, you can get them out of season. If you want to get them cheaper. But I think they help. They're quite lightweight to carry, easy enough to carry in a purse, a backpack, school bag. Maybe have an envelope, like baggie, put it beside your briefcase if you're a worker, or if you carry around a laptop, for example. Oh yeah, I think you know. Oh yeah, then for sure, yeah. I've never been down to that state, so I'm not sure how the conditions are, year to year, every winter. Not sure if you experience freezing rain or conditions where it's like lots of freeze thaw cycles. I know here in Canada, for this year, there's been a lot of kind of freeze and thaw cycles where there's periods of, you know, where it's quite warm, approaching the freezing mark, then a bunch of snow comes and it's far below freezing, and that later, right at the bottom, turns more into ice. Especially if you might see that effect when you shovel snow with snowbanks. The bottom of the snowbank becomes almost like rock hard, like ice. That's because the pressure of the snow, all that snow, for two, oh geez, the pressure will compress the snow underneath and turn it into ice. Of course, that happens more when the snow is deeper. The more snow there is on top, the more it pushes down. So after that area has been cleared, there's that thin layer of ice underneath. You see it a lot from after a snowstorm or whatever. The plows come out, and basically you'll see that kind of shininess on the ground, like on the snow. So, of course, but then they add like stuff like salt and sand, of course. But sometimes when you need to go out, certain places might not be sanded or salted yet, especially where the road inclines up to the sidewalk, for example, right? It's like, let's see, so I'd go like this. I know those places are quite dangerous for falling on the corners of like streets, sidewalks, and stuff like that, because usually there's a depression and water kind of gathers. You gotta watch over those areas. I know sometimes if I'm not wearing the ice cleats or whatever, if I feel like I might, a certain area might be dicey, I just either walk slower, walk around, just walk on the snow where I know, I'm not gonna slip out. Or if I gotta walk over this area, I walk with the intention of not falling, so, maybe I'll lower myself down lower, get by that kind of hazard or danger area, if I see cement in front of me again, then, walk on my normal pace to my destination. Well, maybe I should have named this video more ice, snow, and falling, but yeah, I guess I'll change it after. Because ice kind of goes hand in hand with falling. Because a lot of the time people associate ice with falling or slipping out. Now, in terms of like, everyone always talks about bugging out, for example, where you evac out. Now, hopefully no one has to evac or bug out during the winter, but, it's more likely that you'll have to, your vehicle's stuck on the side of the road and you gotta walk it back. Apparently because you got no reception or no one's around for the next how long, just because, maybe you live alone or whatever, and you can't get a ride and you gotta walk for like the next hour or something like that to walk back home, to get back home. Something like ice cleats, snowshoes could be useful. Obviously try to stay with your vehicle as much as you can, but sometimes you're gonna self-rescue. It's not really snowing out, it's not blizzard out, it's just that you're on the side of the road and you just gotta walk to maybe the gas station, get some fuel, or something like that. Whereas something like ice cleats, if you have them in your vehicle with you, could be useful. Oh yeah, every season's different. I have 4 seasons in this area, spring, summer, fall, and cold. Yep, that's my seasons: spring, summer, fall, and cold and snow. Sometimes around here, sometimes the snow can linger from as early as August. I've seen it snow in August here. They're a very small amount, it melted away. And I've seen snow as late as May. Of course, that melted away quite fast. I have another video, I'll probably end screen it or add it in the description down below on when there's a snowfall warning in April. So if it gets cold enough, it can snow. Even in the desert. Although it's very, 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 very rare. What's up, Alex? Peace. So yeah. So Alex, let me ask you, how many times have you fallen in the snow? Or, maybe or people maybe it's your significant other, your soulmate, for example, or whatever, How many times do you hear that? Randomly in the year, people about friends or family members that have slipped on ice. Because I can name a bunch of times where people tell me they slip on ice, like their hands bleeding because, and you know, or something like that, or they tell me they've hurt their back because of it. I'm like, that is preventable, right? Falling on ice is preventable. You just need to kind of remember you need traction. So, ice skates. Maybe walking around if you can. Because a lot of the time when people fall on ice, yeah, no one wants to fall on ice. It's because they're rushing. A lot of the time. They're rushing to school, rushing to work, trying to like make it across the crosswalk in time before the light turns red. And they don't realize at the opposite corner of the intersection, there's, you know, an ice sheet. And they think, oh yeah, I can do this. I'll just jump over it or something. And, you know, what happens? They slip and fall, and everyone looks at them. And then you feel embarrassed. And then you're in pain. And you know, sometimes that pain can keep going for a while. Hopefully it subsides, but sometimes these falls can be, the effects can last for a while, depending on how severe. You know, it could be as simple as sprained wrist, all the way to you dislocate a knee. I mean, it's never happened to me or anyone else I know of, but I've heard about this from a different YouTube subscriber that I have that lives out east more. I was just kind of watching a video from them, and they were talking about it for a little bit as they were venturing through a hiking path in the winter, and they were talking about they were slipping on the snow because there's ice underneath. Oh yeah, I mean, like, how many close calls where you're like, you slip out, you slip, but you manage to control yourself and get back on your feet somehow? I mean, I sometimes when you when you see certain paths or whatever, if you see a side path along it, most likely it's because people have been trying to avoid ice on the main path. Like, if this was a sidewalk, some people might go along on the side where the grass is, just to avoid that hazard, right? Because they don't want to fall, because you know there's no going back after you fall, pretty much. And of course, you don't know how severe it's gonna be until it happens, and sometimes when it happens, it's very how do you say, for lack of a better word, painful. And maybe you know have some downtime at work or whatever. You know, you gotta hobble around at work because you sprain your dominant hand, so you gotta learn everything left-handed with your non-dominant hand. Or you know, especially if you ever fallen on ice and you get back pain. Oh my gosh, you know, you just feel that for the rest of the week. Oh, see, exactly. You guys can kind of relate to what I mean about it. I mean, and so you don't. It's funny sometimes. It's not even just snow that does it or ice that specifically does it. Sometimes things like bags, paper that are on the ground, especially bags. Oh my gosh! If there's a bag and snow covers it, and you step on it, you're instantly sliding out. Like instantly. There's no doubt about that. And you can't see that. So, I mean, let's just say when you see bags on the ground in the winter, try not to step on them, and if you can, pick them up and put them far away from the path. Because maybe you won't fall on it, but you know, someone might fall on it. Or the next snowstorm, someone steps on it and it's like, they think it's ice when it's actually just a plastic bag that they've stepped on. You know, sometimes this kind of stuff can just ruin your day. From, hey, I'm happy, it's Friday, to, oh, my back, oh, I sprained my wrist, you know? And from, like, going to, like, a nice party or a nice adventure for that Friday, now you're stuck in bed because you're in pain, taking pain pills, and doing all that stuff. Where, you know, you tweak what you could be doing, as in, like, going around the ice, or wearing something like ice cleats, for example, could have prevented that, and you and you'll be that person enjoying life, not, oh, I'm in pain, my back. And like I said, ice cleats are not too expensive. You know, they're obviously more expensive when you buy them new, of course, but you can get them secondhand. You might be able to see them at, you know, a second-hand store, a thrift store, yard sales and stuff like that. You know, depending on your shoe size. So I'll probably be going on about 12 minutes. I'll probably finish this at the 1 hour mark for this video anyways. I may come back for another one, depending if I feel like it. So yeah, as a quick recap, ice cleats. You know, I think they're worth their weight in gold in the winter anyways. They're not too heavy. A lot of these ice cleats I can easily fit. Hell, I could fit them in my pocket if I wanted to. You know, you get to your destination, you just take them off. On your way out, you know, you put them back on. You come home, you take them off. No need to worry about ice so much. And instead of taking more time, because, you know, of the conditions, you can kind of keep the same pace that you would normally take. And a lot of the time, some of these kind of ice cleats ice cleats can be, you know, not one size fits all, but, you know, if you fit, like, for example, if you fit size 10, you know, and your ice cleats fit, that might work for someone like your significant other, like your husband, for example, and wears a bigger size. It might work for them because they tend to stretch a little. Or these heel ones, you know, might work for someone that has a slightly bigger shoe size than you, like one shoe size above you. And if you really do need snowshoes, I mean not snowshoes, but ice cleats, and you don't have them, and you know you really want them because, you know, maybe it's freezing rain out, for example, you can take little tiny screws and screw them on the bottom of your sole. Now, you know, do that at your own risk and at your own discretion, but I tried that before. It can help. You don't slide as much, and you get more traction. Alright, as I'm finishing off, you guys on the side chat right here, if you want to say anything else before I do my outro. So I don't have a pair of snowshoes yet, but like I said, I've tried improvised snowshoes. And I've tried something else before as snowshoes. It worked, but it was a little bit slower, but it did help me not sink in the snow as much. And this is just after, a major snowstorm. I was walking to a friend's place. I'm still working on that one, and hopefully I'll have a video on that. And about better improvised snowshoes using spruce or pine boughs to spread your weight more. So basically it look like this. So instead of sinking a foot in, you're only sinking maybe half a foot. So it's easier for you to take your boot or shoe out of the snow and continue the process and make your way to your destination. Because in the winter, it's very important to not only make it to your destination, but make it in one piece, unharmed. There might be other ways of doing this that I don't know of, but as far as I know, I've tried those improvised snowshoes, the screws on the bottom of your soles. Now, these screws should be very, very short. You don't need that much. It just has to stick into your sole. So, just like the one I shown earlier. So basically it would be like this short. And those screws are easy to come by. So if you have designated boots for the winter, that might be an option. If you can't find or obtain ice cleats, like actual ice cleats. Now there's other ice cleats that I've seen that are like even more aggressive on their bottoms, so they give you even more traction. But I don't have those yet. Alright, well, I think I'm gonna cut this live stream in about a few more minutes here. I might come back for another one, I'm not sure yet. So, anyone on the side chat, stay tuned, I might be back in a little bit again. So, in the meantime, I want to thank everyone that's been subbing in, supporting these live chats, or live streams, supporting my static, normal videos, leaving comments, getting my view count higher, getting my view times higher. I'm not getting into that either, but about the 4,000 hours or 4,000 minutes or whatever it is. So I want to thank everyone that's been very supportive of the channel and really helping support the creative process in general. Because you guys are the reasons why I enjoy doing some of these topics, trying out stuff, DIYing it. Because, unfortunately, not everyone has the money or the funds or the resources to obtain, like, top of the line kind of stuff. Some people have to improvise, DIY it. Because, they got other priorities for their cash flow. For whatever reason, feed the kids, or they're doing kind of normal type of stuff like getting groceries and stuff like that. So, like I said, I want to say thank you to everyone. Thanks, man. Thanks, Nathaniel. So, I guess it's time for my outro here. Now, as the world changes so much oneself To reach a new level of skill and knowledge, one must practice. Now, a single person can't help everyone in this world, but one person, like me, you, Alex, Nathaniel, and anyone else watching this, you can help someone in this world. Maybe it's someone you know too. Maybe you're helping them out, like for like Valentine's Day, you get them ice cleats or something like that. That could be very special. Just kidding. So, until the next video, guys, it's peace out from the guy that's always in creation mode. Creative Redundancy. Peace out from CR. And catch you next time. Later.